When you see a classic Volkswagen Beetle or a vintage VW camper van, you probably associate it with the peace and love counterculture movement of the 1960s. But you have been completely fooled by one of the greatest corporate rebrands in history. The real origins of Volkswagen are incredibly dark, starting as a direct request from Adolf Hitler to build a people's car using horrific constant concentration camp labor. However, the most shocking part of the Volkswagen story isn't just how it started, but how it was literally rebuilt from the ashes and rubbles of World War II by its very enemies, only to eventually betray the public's trust in one of the largest corporate scandals of the modern era. By the end of World War II, the Volkswagen factory had been repeatedly bombed by elite planes and was reduced to a pile of rubble. It seemed like the company was completely dead. But a British officer named Ivan Hurst was tasked with taking over the ruined factory. Against all odds, Ivan managed to get the factory running again and produce the first 10,000 cars. Throughout this time, Ivan continually made improvements, including introducing motorized flat wagons just to move heavy parts around the factory floor. But then a genius realization occurred. A visiting Dutch car importer named Ben Pon saw these flat wagons, pulled out his notebook, and sketched a design for a van. This makeshift factory vehicle evolved into a legendary Volkswagen Type 2, famously known as the VW bus or camper. In 1949, once the Allies felt Germany was ready to be a sovereign nation again, Ivan's job was complete, and the rebuilt company was handed back to the people of Germany. Volkswagen's growth was explosive. In 1955, they celebrated selling their 1 millionth Beetle, making it the world's best-selling car. Following the success, they released the Type 3 and Type 4 models, completely shedding their dark origins and becoming a global icon. But in the 2000s, a wild corporate war began. Porsche, a much smaller luxury car brand, secretly planned a hostile takeover of the giant Volkswagen group. Porsche began quietly buying up Volkswagen's shares, increasing their stake to over 30%, while publicly lying and claiming they had no intention of taking over the company. But Porsche's greedy gamble completely backfired. By buying up so much stock, Porsche took on around 10 billion euros in debt. When the financial crisis hit and the deal fell through, Porsche couldn't afford the remaining stock and had no way to pay back the massive debt. In a humiliating twist, Volkswagen ended up turning the tables and absorbing Porsche instead. With Porsche and other brands now under their control, Volkswagen was selling tens of millions of cars every year. But they were hiding a dirty illegal secret inside millions of those vehicles. Around 2009, Volkswagens heavily advertised their new clean diesel cars. Previously, they had to suspend diesel sales because the engines gave off high quantities of toxic gases that failed environmental tests. Volkswagen claimed they had invented a revolutionary nitrogen oxide trap to capture the toxic gases, allowing them to miraculously pass the strict emission tests. It was considered a huge engineering breakthrough, but it was a complete lie. Volkswagen had secretly installed software that could detect when the car was being tested in the lab, turning on emissions control just for the tests, but turning them off when driving on the railroads, pumping illegal toxic gas into the air. When the world finally found out in 2015, it triggered Dieselgate, the most public and damaging scandal in the company's history.